Today on Drawbli, we are drawing
campfire scenes.
Click that subscribe button if you are new around here.
And comment below to let us know what we should paint in the future.
Speaking of, this was a suggestion from Lucas. That's
Lucas,
right.
Our champ, Lucas. That's
Our
what we call our followers. We call them champs. You established this, by the way.
I did, but I forgot about it until right before we recorded, and then you said something about champs, and I was like, oh no!
So you're drawing a campfire. Now, I know Lucas specifically said campfire scene.
Oh, did he?
He did. But that's okay. You were like...
I'm just trying to provide quality content specifically for our biggest fan.
Well, he did request a campfire scene.
I'm sorry, Lucas. Please find it in your heart to forgive my misunderstanding of the prompt.
This just means that when you ever do go to paint an actual campfire scene, you will be so ready for the campfire portion.
I will. So
Yes.
you are doing something from Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I was looking for a reference that struck me as something I would want to draw, and in a sheer moment of maybe desperation, I stumbled across this image. I don't know the context. I don't end up having time to draw both of these characters. I only draw
you
the
only
one on
do
the
the
left.
one, yeah.
But this is what I did. And I actually ended up enjoying it. I am using the method that you taught me this week.
Yes. So Abby discovered me in the middle of, or you know what? No, actually, I think I showed you one of my pieces that I worked on this week, and you were like, "What? How did you do that?" And I was like, "Let me show you."
And it was the selection tool.
And
which
I
is,
spent
jacked up there.
Oh no. I spent maybe like 5-10 minutes teaching you how to do this, and you've already mastered it. You've already completely shown me up.
Hardly. No, not at all. What's funny about that though is like this, we both went down we had a list of prompts, right? That we were gonna
do throughout the week.
Yeah. And we didn't do them in the same order. So this was the last one that I did, and this was the first one you did. So
Yes, that's
you're
true.
gonna watch me discover the selection tool in reverse, basically. Although this was probably not my best work of the week, I don't think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I hadn't even really played around with this technique too much at this point with me doing this campfire scene. I do use the selection tool just like normally while I'm painting, but I use it a lot more in a couple of the other pieces that we do later on.
I found myself using it exclusively. Like, I don't think I touched a paintbrush
Oh, really? At all?
for several of these. I'm
Oh,
going to have
geez.
to unlearn a little bit. I probably got to dial that back.
Yeah, you just went in a little too hard.
Yeah.
I pretty much just use like the same brush for everything. I just use like my square brush on this. I was really wanting to try to play around with texture like a little bit towards the end, but at first I was way more interested in just trying to figure out like how these flames were wrapping around, because I was really excited to draw fire. Because fire's really cool.
I drew a really cutesy fire.
You
in
did.
mine.
I tried to also try to make it look like it was glowing,
Yeah.
and I'll kind of talk about that as it comes up.
cool.
I tried to use some like blurring and Gaussian blur effects and motion
nice,
blur and some other
nice.
stuff, but it's fire hard to draw.
is hard. I was a little intimidated by the idea of drawing actual realistic flames.
Yeah, I don't know if like what the word would be, but like things like fire, clouds, things that don't have
Amorphous?
yeah, maybe something like that, or volumetric, or something around that terminology.
Amorphous volumes.
Amorphous volumes.
Yes.
Well, they don't have volume necessarily. Like, there's no form. So, right, I'm a digital sculptor at heart. So, I work with form, things that are concrete.
Yeah.
And then I'm like looking at a cloud, or I'm looking at fire, and my brain's like, how do shape?
Because the cloud, like, it shows dimension. It shows, darker on the underside where the sun isn't hitting it. But it's so undefined that you have to really take some creative liberties. And then we interpret it. We interpret a lot of things to be clouds, though, just by the amount of clouds we see.
We interpret a lot of things to be clouds?
Well, in art,
What does that mean?
I mean, it's easy to represent a cloud.
Is it? Oh, maybe for you.
It's not easy to represent a good cloud.
Oh, okay. That's fair, I guess.
Yeah. But it's not, and it's also not easy to represent some good mushrooms, which is what I'm going for here.
I think your mushrooms look really cool. I'm trying to figure out what are you just like cleaning them up? Or?
Yeah, I'm using the edge tool in Liquify, which I'm actually quite fond of now that I've
like Liquify?
I like the edge tool.
Wait, okay, which is like a pinch, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually haven't used that very much, but it does remind me of like a pinch brush in sculpting terms.
It's great for cleaning up my sloppy edges from using the selection tool.
That's why a lot of the time I just click with the selection tool instead of
instead of draw the whole thing.
It.
I could see that. I could definitely see
Look at my beautiful flames.
Oh, look at Jack coming along. I like the orange color.
Yeah, I really tried to get some contrast with the fire as well between the background because it's like it's really kind of gray, but because there's actually not a lot of blue just sampling those colors in the background,
right?
But because it's in contrast to the warmth of the fire, it appears more blue than it actually is.
I like that. I like that interpretation of hues and the contrast of values. I think that in my piece, I think my hue contrast is fine. You know, I got the big green with the browns, but my value contrast, it makes it not that there isn't a place for a piece that's all similar values. It can create a very calming look, which Animal Crossing, you know, what's more calm than Animal
love
Crossing?
The color palettes in Animal Crossing. Like, are these colors, for the most part, they feel pretty desaturated?
Yeah.
Like, even their like brightest or like brightest, not brightest, but strongest valued color, like is probably 70% up, like from 0.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not that strong.
Play it all the time to relax.
Yeah, it's a really cool art style. I like it a lot.
Although there are definitely some very non-relaxed players, many non-relaxed players out there who go hard. Oh my gosh.
Go hard in Animal Crossing?
Oh yeah.
Hard, how so? Like, gotta get your, what is it, 5-star island?
You gotta get your 5-star island, but that's just small to them.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. I think the true drama of Animal Crossing, my understanding is it revolves around getting the appropriate guests to come live on your island.
Okay.
You want the desirable characters. Some characters, for whatever reason, the little visitors, are very, very popular. Others, nobody likes them. But you can always,
just boring.
You can always be the outlier who's like, well, I don't care what anybody says. I love Hubert. I don't know any of their names except maybe.
You have played
Timothy.
Animal Crossing
Briefly.
Who's Timothy?
I think it's Raymond, actually, is a cat character.
I do remember Raymond, yeah. He's a really popular one, I thought.
Yeah, he's
like got the glasses.
So yeah, there's desirable characters.
What makes an Animal Crossing character desirable?
I don't know. I think it's a group thing where, you know, a few voices say, I love this guy, and then everybody's like, yeah, me too. No, I don't know. They could probably all think for themselves. But they just interpret one or the other as very cool and another as not so cool. They all have different personality types too. You can have a jock, somebody flirty.
Wow.
And they will...
Can you get married in Animal Crossing?
That's a great question. I think they can be roommates.
Roommates?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then they can...
Animal Crossing spice.
Yeah.
You have the newest Animal Crossing. You were very into it for like 2 weeks and then you completely stopped.
I didn't really think I would maintain interest. I bought it. I forget why. And...
Because you were very... Abby, okay, here, I'll explain why you bought this game. Because Abby does this thing...
No, I bought it because you told me I'd like it.
No. It's my turn. It's my story time. Abby does this thing where she gets really excited about a video game, such as Animal Crossing or Subnautica, and then she plays it for like 2 hours and then says, that's enough. That was a fun game. Which I can totally understand. Like, you got me the new Pokemon game. It's the one where you can, like, I don't even actually know.
Arceus?
Arceus. So I've played that, like, not very much. But it's hard to find time to, like, play games.
It is as adults, I guess. But it's hard. I don't know.
I played Elden Ring for I think like 10 to 15 hours, and I haven't touched that game in a month now.
Yeah, it's interesting how the interest just falls off. Like, I was really into Pikmin Bloom for a hot minute. And I was doing pretty hot. And then one day, I just never
stopped.
opened it again.
Yeah, I haven't played Pikmin Bloom in forever.
Ever opened it again.
And that's okay.
That's totally fine.
And your Pikmin are just waiting for you still.
And they can wait. It still sends me notifications every morning to let me know how the weather is. But
Go
we're
out
in the
there and
Midwest,
explore.
so it's always like, the sky's looking a little bit gray today.
Yeah, we
every
know.
day.
We know, Pikmin. We're aware.
So it's like, I don't want to hang out with you anymore.
Ooh, you even used the Campfire color palette. I saw you just open that.
Oh yeah, I happen to have that loaded up, not even for this little project, but I was like, oh, that's awfully convenient.
But that is probably not something that you used. Did you just sample the colors, I assume?
No, I used the palette.
Oh, you did?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
In this case,
wow.
I did.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then I made up my own fire because everything in Animal Crossing is whatever they can get to represent what they're going for. You can't just make anything in Animal Crossing. It has to exist as an offered thing in the game. It's really interesting to see what people come up with to represent what they're going for. Looks like they're burning a pile of leaves.
Wait, what do you mean? Like you can't? I don't understand.
Gosh, I don't know how to describe it, but they'll use objects in the game very creatively to represent something else.
Like what?
Maybe like a bookshelf for a wall would be the very simplistic example. Oh
Gotcha.
man, I'm not good at examples. Forget I said anything.
Okay. I can't remember or not, but I believe that I did not sample any colors from this image.
Cool.
I might have like a few times here and there, but for the most part, with this one, I really wanted to, try to get colors myself.
Yeah, I like these flecks of blue you're adding in too. Those are a fun contrast, those bright blue flecks.
Yeah, if you sample them, I don't think they're really all that blue either. It's just in terms of the contrast between the warmth of the wood. There's like a little bit of blue in there, but I tone it down a little bit as well.
Huh.
But yeah, sometimes I think on the next one, the next one that we did is one where I just sampled all the colors. I was like, I don't care. I just want to try to make something cool. But for the most part, when I am painting, I really try to pick my colors myself because that's something I feel like I want to work on. It's something that I'm not super amazing at.
Okay.
So it's a skill that I want to improve because I want to be able to look at a color and be like, oh, I can just point at that at the color wheel and know exactly where that is.
Yeah, that's cool. I sample a lot using the selection tool method because that's who originally taught me, and I don't deviate from the path. But no, that's a good skill to have. I feel like
it's a lot harder. It's way harder to do it that way, obviously, than just sampling the colors.
It's a good skill though.
I really like the way also that you built this character
from the feet up.
Right. I was watching this sped up time lapse of it earlier, and it just comes together from the feet up and just
because it's the really
pops
fast
into place.
replay. No, it's funny. Yeah, and then I spent just an hour on this. We were at Starbucks, and I wasn't feeling very well.
No,
so
you've been sick.
I have been again. What is
sick and dying?
Well, it's because I ran out of vitamins.
Wait, it does seem like every time we record lately, you've had a little bit of something going on.
Oh my goodness, what's wrong with me?
It's fear of the Drawbli.
Oh, that must be what it is.
It makes you feel ill.
Well, either way, I was a little ill during this recording. Not recording, this painting.
You were?
Yes.
This is true.
And I finished up this girl, and then I was like, well, that's an hour. I'm all done.
Yeah, we try not to go too much over an hour because we don't... Well, there's a few reasons, but we, for the most part, want to have them both be around the same amount of time that we spend into something. I don't want to spend 5 hours on something and then you're like, oh, I only spent 45 minutes on it.
But don't you worry, because I can spend 2 hours on something and have it look like I spent
trust me,
30
I can do that too. you will see very soon how well I can do that.
Yeah. No, your fire is looking really, really good, though. I like it a lot.
Thank you. I ended up, for the most part, keeping my layers pretty flat. I don't know if you have changed your mindset on this at all, but I try to keep my layers very minimum, very minimal.
Yeah, I noticed through the week when I was working on different pieces that some of them I would do very minimal layers. This one, I actually did a lot more layers than I have been all week.
Why is that?
Because there were lots of, especially on this character here, I wanted to be able to put the head in separately. I wanted to do a clipping mask on those mushrooms.
Yeah, I feel like with cleaner shapes in general, maybe
Yeah.
you kind of lean towards more layers.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense so that you can edit them a little bit more tidily.
I mean, in a perfect world, I would always make a new layer for every brushstroke, but that's just like not feasible at all.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's not a perfect world. That's somebody's hell.
Well, like in Photoshop, with the undo system, you can actually like undo individual brushstrokes.
Like choose specific ones to undo?
I believe so. It's not something that I actually use because I think it's way too slow. And I just like kind of trudge forward. And that's kind of my philosophy here in Procreate as well. Just like anything that you mess up, you can fix later.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Yeah, no, I like it.
I like your little nose bandage you got going on there.
Thank you. That's a theme in Animal Crossing, I guess. I've seen those. I don't know if there's like a snoring strip. Have you heard of those? Like a strip you can put on your nose
Yeah.
so you don't snore.
All the characters in Animal Crossing snore.
I
Is that the
I
idea?
guess this one does. I don't think they all have it. I think we see it more in like anime and stuff. Maybe it just represents the dimension of the nose without having to draw a full-on nose.
Wow. Oh, I like what you did with your glasses, flipping those around.
Yeah, well, yeah, work smarter, not harder. Yeah. Little clipping mask action, like I said. They're on their own layer. Now the eyes are going to be on their own layer. A lot of layers for me on this one.
All the layers.
Yeah. But it was
I
still
really
fun to make.
tried to. Like, my painting is pretty much finished at this point. I'm just going in and, like, trying to spruce up the fire and make it
Cool.
more visually interesting. Because I feel like, I don't know, the fire has so much dimension. There's so much going on there. It's hard to, like, make it look like fire instead of just look absolutely messy.
Yeah.
Like, one thing I just did there was put in, like, these little flecks and, like, blur them out. Because I was noticing, like, these little... I don't know if they're, like, lens flares or what, but there was, like, a little bit of
now
that
that you
going.
mention it, yeah,
The
absolutely.
slightest amount of it.
That's cool because it kind of suggests the glowing of the fire without just painting the whole thing with a glow.
On the lens of the camera.
Yeah,
Right.
cool. Oh, chromatic aberration, was that what that was just now?
Yeah, so I'm at this point trying to make the fire look like it glows more. So I do some like blurring, some brightening.
Did you use any
and-
luminosity brushes?
Oh, I didn't. Your favorite brush
What?
of all
There's
time.
even one that's called Flames.
Oh, really? Is there?
And it's luminous.
No, I did not use any of the luminosity brushes. Abby's favorite brushes that she discovered on like episode 2 or 3 of
Yeah, it's
Drawbli.
like, oh my gosh.
The beginning of an era.
Oh, you're putting the blue back in. That looks nice.
Yeah, so one thing that I really enjoy doing with my paintings is going in at the end and adding in a lot of these super saturated, bright colors, or dark, depending on if it's in a shadowed area, and then just playing with opacity or different blending modes.
Yeah.
So like, it's kind of faint. If you remember my whale that I drew not
yeah.
that long ago, I used this very similar technique. So like these super crazy greens are not in this painting, but I'm noticing like little hints of like yellowish, greenish warmth
Sure.
in a few places in the wood. And by starting off with something really vibrant, I can then fade that back and find like a good place for that. And I actually just made the connection that this is something I do in sculpting and something that I also preach in sculpting, which is exaggerate until the point where it breaks and then tone it back. So that's actually something I do with form a lot as well. So maybe
Cool.
that's just like a part of how I work with creating art. But,
Oh,
yeah.
that's actually a really good point, and that you just realized that is interesting. But I like that. Exaggerate it until it breaks. See, for me, it's usually like everything starts exaggerated and then it's already broken and there's nowhere to take it back
now
to
I have to
because there
fix
never was a
everything.
place.
I must fix my art now.
Yeah.
Well, I really like your piece.
Thanks. I really like yours too.
Thank you. And
I
thank
love
you,
them.
Lucas, for the amazing suggestion.
This
Thanks,
was
champ.
a good suggestion. Thanks, Champ Lucas. Keep them coming. We love them.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Click that subscribe button if you are new around here.
And please comment below with ideas of what else we can create and learn by creating.
And this is the part where we say
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
We have never used our fire pit in the backyard.
No,
I burned part of a Christmas tree and then left the Christmas tree sitting by it for like a month.
That was a fun time. Yeah.
By myself.